What's up, queens? I want to welcome you back to this series. Listen, we are on tip 4 on how to win at sex. Now, if you've been following me on this series, you would know that I'm not talking about bedroom tips, right? Like actual tips on how to do. Okay, but I'm talking about tips on how to win at sex in your everyday life, and that means pursuing a life of sexual integrity. So today I want to talk about our private parts. If you read the title, then you know that it says make your private parts private again. So when I say private again, that must mean our private parts are no longer private. I want to tell you something that I learned about my niece. Right now, she is 13 years old. And one of the things that I've noticed about her is she's very, very reserved when it comes to her body image. You know, of course, we're girls. We all have the same parts. And so we find ourselves sometimes like changing in front of each other. And, you know, it's like, it's really no big deal. But she's at a point in stage to where she's like, no, I don't want anyone to see my body, to see me naked. So anytime she has to change her clothes, she will ask me, can you leave? You know. And so at one point I was like, you know, it's okay. Like, I'm a woman, you're a woman. Why do you feel like you want to, you know, hide yourself? It's okay. I'm not looking at you in a crazy way. I'm not trying to expose you or anything like that. And she's like, no, I just want my privacy. You know, she insists that I leave the room. And so when I was thinking about that, I'm like, why is that? Like, why is she so closed in like that? At one point, I thought it was like, not necessarily a bad thing, but like what's up with you? What's going on with you? But then I started to think the reason why she has a strong desire to, you know, cover up and protect her private parts, her body, is because her covering is still intact. Her covering is still intact. What do I mean by that? Listen to this. When I teach teen girls, or when I'm talking to teens about sex, one of the things that I've noticed about them is that they get really shy and awkward. Like, I was talking to this specific teen girl, 15, 16, and she was like, every time I talk about sex, it's just so awkward. So I'm thinking, is it awkward because, you know, it's sex and maybe you're talking to adults and stuff like that? And she was just like, it's just an awkward thing no matter who I talk to, you know, no matter who I'm talking to about it. And so with me, I love to talk about sex to make sex a casual conversation in a sense of like taking away that stigma. Like, sex is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a God thing. And we should be able to talk about it so that we can get the truth about it, you know? And in me thinking about that, I'm like, okay, maybe it's awkward because culture has made it to be such a bad thing. They made it look dirty. They made it be secretive, and like you hide yourself from hide sex, you know, hide. And I'm like, okay, that could be a part of why they're so awkward and shy about it. But then God showed me this. The reason why it's such an awkward thing to talk about is because, yet again, they have a sense inside of them, a strong desire to cover up, to cover and to keep intimate that topic of sex. Because when you think about sex, you literally think about your private parts. You think about the exposure of your private parts. And the reason why these teen girls, why these teenagers, or even you at one point when you were very young, you didn't like to be exposed. You didn't want people to see your private parts. You wanted to, you know, cover up and not allow people in the hallways, not allow little boys to see your body and stuff like that. The reason why you do that is because God has given every human being an innate desire or an innate strong urge to keep those things that are private, to keep those things that are intimate covered up. So I'm like, okay, I see that, God. You put an innate desire in us to cover those things up. But here's another thing. This is why He put an innate strong urge for us to cover those private things. It's because sex reflects our intimacy with God. Okay? When we believe in Jesus and become one with Him, we are becoming intimate with Him, meaning we are allowing Him in to our private space, into the depths of our heart, so that He can know us intimately. And that kind of intimacy, that kind of relationship is only reserved for one God, between you, the person, and one spirit, one God. Guess what? When God created sex, he created sex because, that beautiful intimacy that we have with him, he wanted to put that in a human relationship between a husband and a wife. So he put that in sex. And so, this is why, we are only called to be with one person, because it reflects our design to be with one God. So yes, he put that in sex so that we may have a strong urge and desire to cover that up and only give it to one person. He gave us a strong desire to protect those intimate parts of us, to protect that sacred place of intimacy, because it's only reserved for one person. Do you hear me, Queen? Is this making sense to you? I sure hope it is, because I'm trying to make it make sense, okay? They still have that shield of protection in place that has been given to us by God. It is God's covering over those private parts because they're only reserved for one person. So this is what the enemy does, okay? The enemy's job is to knock us off our game, to throw us off course, and to break our intimacy and our connection with God. He wants to make sure that we don't have that intimate connection with our Creator. When we don't know him, we don't know our purpose. And if we don't know our purpose, we can't flow in him. We can't be fruitful and multiply. If you go back to tip 1, we are called to make the earth look more like God and bring about his goodness. We won't be able to do that. So what the enemy does is he snatches that covering off of us, or that desire, urge to protect and cover and preserve those intimate parts of us for just that one person. He snatches that off. And one of the ways that he does that is at a very young age, through molestation, through rape, through somebody else that he used to come in and uncover our private parts for us without our understanding, without our permission. He'll snatch it off of us violently through that way. Or this is another thing that he's doing right here, right now in our culture. He's trying to tell us that nakedness and, giving your body away and having sex with whoever you want to have sex with is womanhood. It's womanhood. Let me say that again. Or it's power, femininity, power. You see that in our culture. You see it in the WAP song. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm expressing my sexuality. I'm expressing all of that. Basically, I can do whatever I want to do in my private parts because it's my body. I could do whatever I want to do with my sex, have sex whoever I want to because it's my body. That's the thing. That's what the devil's trying to do. He's trying to take that sense of protection away from us, and he's ripping it off of us. So we're listening to culture who's telling us, expose yourself. Yeah, put your body, your booty, your breasts on Instagram. Expose yourself because that's power. When actuality, what it really is bastardization. What the devil is trying to do is cause us to be bastard children. You've ever heard that word before? A lot of our elders use that word, bastardization. Basically what that means is to have a baby outside of commitment, to have a baby outside of marriage, right? And that's what the devil wants us to do or to be. He wants us to be outside of commitment to God, to the one spirit that we are supposed to be in connection with. Okay? Are you following me? He wants us to take off that covering, that God-given covering, and expose ourselves to everything and everybody. And let me tell you, when you expose yourself to everything and everybody, that means anybody can see it. Anybody can see you. People could come in and steal and rob. Think about something precious and something valuable. If they don't lock it up, you always go to a jewelry place, right? They lock up those things that are very expensive, very precious, and very valuable. Because if they don't, somebody would come in and steal it. They would come and get something that's not theirs. And that's what the devil's trying to get us to do. Open yourself up. Expose your breasts. Expose your vagina. Expose your booty. Let everybody see your body. Post naked pics on you and call it art. Post naked pics on you and call it freedom. And call it a woman power. Call it femininity. Yeah, do it. Do it. What he's doing is he's using us, deceiving us to actually expose ourselves to him, to the enemy, to an imposter, to a robber and a thief. And this is the key here. Everything that you do physically when it comes to sex reflects what you do spiritually. Because remember, sex, all the sex represents is intimacy, connection with the human being. a husband and wife come together and they're able to be intimate. They're able to see each other, go deep into each other and know each other deeply, expose their entire heart to each other. Same thing that what we're supposed to do with God. Be intimate with him, expose our entire hearts to him. So if we're exposing ourselves, that those private parts of us to just whoever, any and everybody, what do you think we're doing spiritually? We're exposing ourselves to these different spirits, to demons, to multiple sources, to multiple spirits, just like we're doing it to multiple people. We're exposing our body to multiple dudes, having sex with multiple people, allowing so many different eyes to see our body parts on social media by the thousands and by the millions upon millions. Do you see what the devil is trying to do? And what is that ultimately doing? He's trying to open us up to idol worship, to worship all these other false gods, all these many demons, except for the one God, except for the one spirit that we are connected to. Oh, listen. So basically, what the devil is trying to do is cause us to expose or leave uncovered our most intimate parts, or our parts that we use to connect or to be intimate, so that we don't reserve or preserve it or see the value in preserving it for that one God or that one person, but we expose it to everybody. So if you're exposing it to everybody, you don't have true intimacy and commitment with anybody, because true intimacy and commitment is only supposed to be with one person, not many. And guess what? So if we're not intimate with God, we're going to try to find that intimacy somewhere else. And where's another place where you can be intimate with somebody? Through sex, right? So most of the time when you see people using their sexuality, exposing it and all that stuff, more than likely they're not intimate with God. And that's them exposing their private part shows you that they're not intimate. They're not connected to the true and living God. They're not being one with him, being open with him, because there's an innate desire to do that. And so they're like, but they don't understand it. You're not aware that you're actually craving that intimacy. So by default, by you not even being aware, you expose your body. You expose your body and you're saying, hey, I want to be intimate with someone. Or I want to have, you start having sex with a dude or with different people because you have a desire to be intimate. But when you're using sex the right way, when you're intimate with God, you're going to always use sex the right way. You're going to always use sex within commitment, within a committed marriage, because you are connected to God and he's telling you, he's showing you how to properly use your intimate parts, your sexual parts, so that you can be properly intimate with one person. Listen, sex is very provocative. Okay. It provokes, meaning it calls forth such a heavy response. When you show off your body parts, when you see sexual things, it draws you in. It calls you. And you're like, oh my goodness, I want that. This is why a lot of people can't turn away from sex. They feel it's so hard to turn away from it. It's hard to turn away from the call of masturbation, pornography, sex with a person. It's so hard because God put intimacy in sex. And because God calls people, he calls people to him. We have such a strong, call from God and a strong urge to go to God. Same thing with sex. When you have sex or when you open up your private parts to the world or to a person, what you're doing is you're sending out a call. You're sending out a call saying, come be intimate with me. Come be intimate with me. Just like God is calling, saying, come be intimate with me through our spirit, through our inner deepest parts. Come be intimate with me. Okay? So this is why you can't make your private parts public to everybody. Because when you do that, you're calling all these different people to say, come be intimate with me. When you show off your breasts, your body parts, all those sexual parts of your body that provokes sexual desires, provokes a sexual urges from the other person looking at you, you're saying, come be intimate with me. You're calling them to say, come have sex with me. Even if you don't understand it, when you expose your body in that way, you're sending out a call. And this is why I say you have to make your private parts private again. You have to develop a sense of respect again for your body, for your private parts. You have to get that covering again for your body parts, for your private parts, because the enemy has allowed culture, or shall I say, the enemy through culture has taught us to expose that, to not care about it, to not protect it and preserve it. And what he's teaching us to do is to come out of commitment. Because when we don't protect and preserve those private parts, he's teaching us how to be prostitutes. He's teaching us not to have commitment, to not have fidelity. A lot of people don't know how to be committed to one person, don't know how to be faithful to one person, because that's what the enemy does. He's desensitized us and told us you don't have to do that. You don't have to be committed to one person. And by default, when we believe that, we automatically believe that spiritually, because they're a reflection of each other. You don't have to be committed to one God. You don't have to be committed to him. You can do whatever you want to. You can worship all these other gods. You have to develop that desire again. And how you do that is you pray. You say, God, forgive me for exposing those private parts of my body that's only reserved for that one person. Forgive me for sending out a call to all these different people on my social media to be intimate with me, to have sex with me. And that call is only supposed to be sent out to one person, the one person who has committed to you, just like God. How do you make your private parts private again? Simple. You cover it up. You cover up those private parts, all those body parts that are provoking, that are sending out a call, which is your breast, which is your booty, which is your actual vagina. All those intimate parts, those delicate parts. And for some, it may be your inner thighs. It may be those parts that if it was exposed or, someone was to touch it, it will cause sexual arousal. Cover that up. Okay? There's purpose, there's power, and there's God in covering up your private parts, because you're preserving it for that one special person. You're preserving it for that beautiful, committed relationship. And what you're doing is you're going to develop an ability to be committed, or fidelity. You're learning how to be committed again. But you have to do that by covering up those things that's preserved for that committed relationship. So yes, cover up your private parts. Cover up your booty, your breasts. Look at how you're dressing. When you dress and wherever you go, I don't care where you're going in life. Okay? I don't care what culture, what people are doing. When you dress, are you exposing your private parts? Are you sending out a call that's saying, come have sex with me? Start covering that up, because it ain't for them. That call ain't for them. Okay? Stop dressing like you're going to, for a breast exam. Because here's the truth. Don't nobody want to see your breast. Forget what culture says. Forget what people are saying. Forget what people are doing. Your breast ain't made for everybody's eyes. I don't want to see your breast. If you've ever seen me, okay, it's been a while since I would dress very provocatively. But if you've ever seen me, you notice I don't have a cleavage line. You don't see anything, because my body, I've realized how precious, how beautiful, and how just bomb my body parts are. And it's a privilege to see them. Okay, it is a privilege. I know how pricey they are. I know how valuable they are. And I'm not just about to expose it and let everybody see it. Okay, so you don't see it, and you won't see it. You won't see me dressing like that. That also means take those pictures down on your social media that is exposing your body. Okay, your private parts are for one person only, not for the world to see. Take those pictures down and start preserving and covering, like most teenage girls and guys do. Guys do it as well. Thank God for those guys who realize their bodies are valuable. But like my niece, who has such a strong desire and urge to cover up, I want you to learn and develop that same thing. I pray. And you know what else? Not only should you protect that is private, your body parts, but also when it comes to social media, stop throwing out your deepest thoughts and desires to everybody, and it's not for them too. All those thoughts and desires that is supposed to bring intimacy, that's supposed to, connect your heart with somebody else. Some of that stuff, preserve that. Everybody don't need to know your deepest parts of you. So stop treating social media as your husband or as your God. They're the only ones that can handle the depths of you, because they know how to handle the fragility of that, or they know how fragile it is. So they're treated with care. When you send all these thoughts out and treating social media as a diary, they don't know what to do with that. You're giving people information on how to trample over on you, how to, make your situations worse, how to damage you even more and not bring healing. People Everybody can't handle the most intimate parts of you. So you gotta reserve that back. So you're gonna have to go on your social media page and do some cleanup, do some cleaning, because one of the most important things when it comes to learning sexual integrity and being on this path of sexual integrity is keeping your private parts private. Make your private parts private again, and turn that desire of sending out a call to be intimate. Turn that to God, because God has always been calling us to be intimate with Him. Now you got to answer the call. And you'll be able to hear God more clearly again, because you're learning how to be committed. You're learning fidelity again. Turn that attention to God, because He's waiting to be intimate with you. He's waiting to connect with you. He wants you to expose your entire heart, all of you, to Him. And so that He may be able to expose all of Him to you. And that's what you want. And on this journey of sexual integrity, marriage is not the goal when it comes to sexual integrity. A man is not the goal. God is the goal. God is the goal. Okay? So I'm done for now. Okay? I may do a part 2 of this whole make your private parts private again. But I really hope that you were encouraged by this message and by this tip on your journey of pursuing sexual integrity. All right, queens. Until next time, come back to my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, 1:30 p.m. Central Time for yet another tip on how to pursue sexual integrity. Tips on how to win at sex, which means how to pursue sexual integrity, because they the same thing. Same thing, girl. Stay encouraged. Peace.